Thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of three who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast, where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Welcome back, friends. I'm kind of excited about talking about this topic today. It's something that I feel like a lot of us women are battling in the door-to-door space, and it's kind of something that I feel like a lot of us women, as we're looking into different occupations or as we're getting to other aspects of our lives, we're always bogged down by the specific term. And I want to first start by actually introducing Jordy.
Hey guys.
She's so awesome, and I feel like it's something that she and I have in common. Today we're going to chat about anxiety and just how much that it could be like an influence for the worse in every aspect of our lives. But I find it, if we're able to define it, if we're able to understand it, we can actually use it for the betterment of this industry, for the betterment of ourselves. And so before we dive into it, I kind of want to introduce Jordy. Yeah. We'll have her introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you come from, how old you are, and how you got into the door-to-door space.
Yeah, so my name is Jordan. A lot of people know me as Jordy, and so you guys are going to know me as Jordy as well. I'm from good old North Carolina, born and raised. I'm 20 years old. I got into the door-to-door industry with Savvy. He recruited me for pest control, which was totally amazing, awesome. I absolutely love them. They built me into who I am now. And then coming over to work with a lot of amazing women at Pure. And that's my story about door-to-door so far.
Yeah. One thing that I love that she brought up was the person who brought her into the industry is a guy. And I feel like that's something that's super common in this space. And so I want to give a shout out to all you men out there who are constantly uplifting women, constantly telling them that this is something that they can do, because we just need more of that in this industry, whether it's for alarms or for dish or satellite or pest control or solar. Just the more of you men and women who are just making space for those of us who have no clue what we're doing into this industry, it makes all the difference, right? Like, don't you feel like someone like rooting you in your corner, whether they're on your team or not, is basically be successful.
Oh, I wouldn't be here without Savvy, without him, because he actually believed in me. I was like, what the heck are you doing? And here I am doing the same thing that I asked him about months and months ago.
Yeah, I love it. And I look back to the person who recruited me. He was a guy as well. And again, I don't want this space to be about male and female. I want this to be about us being able to just create space to allow more success and more growth for those of us women who are looking into the industry, for those of us women who just aren't sure if this is for us or not. And I just kind of want to talk about a concept that we're going to be able to control to be able to help us to continue to find success in this space. And so first I want to define what anxiety is. There's a lot of definitions out there. But the one that really just stood up to me and pertains a lot to the door-to-door space, okay? Anxiety, intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations. Fast heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating, and feeling tired, on a regular basis. Anxiety can be normal in stressful situations such as public speaking or taking a test. Anxiety is only an indicator of underlying diseases when feelings become excessive, all-consuming, and interfere with daily living. I remember looking back to my first few years in the door-to-door space, and I feel like I still deal with it a lot now. I just manage it a lot differently. But I know that there are a lot of you women in this industry who are super anxious about the teams that you're on, super anxious about area, is it safe, super anxious about whether you're going to find success or not. This is the exact reason why I love women and why I feel like we need to make more space for them, because when they're feeling cultivated, their anxiety is going to be diminished and they're just going to outperform anyone standing next to them. But Jordy, I want you to talk to us a little bit about your anxiety, like how it was when you started. We don't have to like use names of companies or anything like that, but like where you started as far as like your anxiety. I remember you reaching out to me and you were so stoked about being out in area and just like shadowing and following people, but and you were also on a team where you were basically the mentor for other women on your team, and you didn't have like an outlet for you to be able to turn to. So tell us about your journey of anxiety and how you kind of like went home and kind of how you're dealing with it now.
Yeah, so my journey with anxiety has been absolutely crazy. It's been like an emotional roller coaster, I would say. For me, going into this summer, first and foremost, I had a lot of family issues going on. I actually lost my grandmother who raised me my entire life, and that triggered a lot of my anxiety because that was the person who loved me unconditionally. That was my supporter. That was the person that I had to, that was my outing. And so when I lost her, it was like a spiraling effect that kept going on and on and on. But she's in a way better place now. But because of that, it's made me a lot stronger. But going into this summer, door to door is very difficult, much less with everything going on back at home. And so going into this summer, I would doubt myself. That's another kind of side effect, I would say, of anxiety. You're constantly worrying all the time. Like before I would go to the door, I'm like, oh, what do I need to say? And I would almost, as I'm walking to another door, I'm in my head thinking, what do I need to say? Or what is my team going to think of me if I don't hit this goal, if I don't hit this number, if I don't hit this many doors? And it got to the point that it was so crippling that almost, not only that, I actually had to go home due to my medicine being taken off of the doors because where I was working at in my area from my hometown, I had to have medicine, sent to me, and it ended up being stolen off the doors. So then I was a month without my anxiety medication, which was not good at all. But I kept trying to push through it, and I did the best that I could, and I'm so proud of myself, but it was not getting any better. Almost every day before I went to the doors, I felt like I was having a heart attack. I kid you not. Felt like I was having a heart attack. I tried to do everything that I could to calm that down and believe in myself. I would do affirmations. I would write sticky notes and put them on my mirror to look at those things. I would journal. I'd pray to God. I'm like, God, help me. And all those things are great, but like it was not doing not that it wasn't doing anything, but it was just a Band-Aid to the issue of my anxiety. And let's say I could pop off with one day, that's great. Whether I got 1, 2, 3, or however many, depending on what industry you're in, tomorrow's a new day. And that's when anxiety starts all over again. And nobody else may be able to understand that except you, because anxiety is different for every single person. My anxiety is not necessarily public. Like, I love people. I'm not embarrassed by anybody or anything. Why would I be doing door-to-door sales if I wasn't? Yeah. But it's simply the thought of, what if I don't do this right? And from me and my family that I come back, I'm a chain breaker. I'm breaking a lot. Like, I've put a lot on the line to be here, and it's just all the what ifs and who I may or may not disappoint that get into my head, and simply being able to go and just do it and believe in myself. So the beginning of the summer, definitely, I would say that I was a little girl, and looking at myself now, I feel like a grown woman. Like, it's just crazy. And it was when I had to leave my area at first due to getting back on track, seeing my doctor. That was the first decision in my entire life that I'd ever put myself first, not necessarily for knocking doors, but anywhere. Yes, life. And now that I'm here, I came, when I took another opportunity, I was scared. I was terrified. I remember I was praying and crying to God. I was like, God, what the heck? I don't know what you're about to do, but let's do it. And walking out of fear, knocking out of fear for another opportunity. And I'm so thankful that I did that, because it has made me a lot stronger. And I've been able to recognize my trigger spots, which are, if you don't recognize your anxiety trigger spots, you're going to keep going through a cycle. And that's what my doctor talked to me about. So if you realize something, or a relationship, a friendship, or some type of environment, when you go in there, whether or not you want to recognize it or not, if your heart starts beating fast, if you start you'll feel it. And you guys probably who have anxiety know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to recognize those things and write it down. One thing that I started doing that has helped my anxiety, oh my gosh, tremendously, is writing out all of my thoughts, even if I don't understand it, because sometimes our thoughts, we cloud our thoughts with other thoughts. And when you actually put them on paper, you can write it down, and then it's like, oh wow, this is really happy, or man, this really sucks. It's okay to not be okay. And when you actually look at it, and whether you feel crappy, whether you feel excited, you can acknowledge that feeling, feel it, move on, figure out what you have to do to target that specific trigger spot for you, and to move on from that. And whenever I've written out those things and realized what I need to do, what I need to separate myself from, what I need to fight for, it's helped me out so much, and I feel like I can breathe now. And not only that, if you don't know your weaknesses, you're gonna keep stumbling because you're not doing anything to back those up to be able to move forward.
I love a couple of things that you said. So there's a lot of us who are just struggling, like mentally and emotionally, whether it's we're just getting into the industry, whether we're in the middle of our summer, or whether we have just finished and questioning whether we should come back. First of all, if you are at a point where this is just something that's constant and going to be happening like on a regular basis, definitely, just like Jordy, you want to seek your doctor. Like definitely reach out, because some of these things and tips that I generally leave behind, it's going to be for those of us who probably don't need a little bit of medication or anything like that. And I'm not here to judge or tell people, go get medicated or anything like that. But seek out a therapist, seek out a counselor who will be able to give you those advice. But if you are in a situation where it's just like some of us women, where we just get a little anxious when it is going to be something new, we're in definitely in a different environment, I want to go over some of the things that we can do to be able to help implement us when we're out there on the doors, because I'm getting a lot of people who are reaching out, or who they'll be knocking, and they will feel guilty that they have to get off the doors and breathe. They will feel guilty that they aren't knocking the amount of doors that their leaders or representatives are wanting them to, that they are feeling guilty that they are shopping around and finding a team or a situation that makes them feel a little less anxious.
Yes.
And I am here and going to be your advocate that it does not need to be me. It does not need to be an all-female team. It doesn't need to be just solar. It doesn't need to be just alarms or internet or whatnot. The sooner you take care of your mental space, the sooner you start taking care of your internal situations, you're going to see what works for you. Be there, live it, love it, and be excited. Okay. But once you are there, so a couple of things that I do, I did want to ask Jordy, like, what are some ways, well, you did talk about it. You were talking about how you journal and things like that, but how do you feel like now in your current state from where you started at the beginning of the summer, that you've kind of continually overcome some of that?
So I've overcome a lot of that from the beginning to now, and I'll be honest, you guys, I feel great. And there are days that obviously I do go through those anxious moments, but I know how to target them now. So what I do, when I get up in the morning, so I keep my Bible close to me, and then in there, my doctor printed out anxious, prayers to say, because when you feel anxiety coming along, different things that you can read out to, make yourself aware that, look, this is happening. It's not going to last long. Feel it, acknowledge it, and know that it's not going to be here forever. This feeling is just temporary. Tomorrow is a new day, and 30 minutes, it's going to be a new, beginning, and you're not going to feel like that. So I read those prayers. I read different scriptures, and not only that, for me, there's some songs that I don't even listen to if they're triggering spots for me.
Wow.
That's just me. I mean, it's helped me a lot because I can be very sensitive at different times. Like if I feel like a word or something will trigger me or bring emotion or too much emotion, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to listen to it. I love working out. That's where I blow off my steam. I go to the gym almost every day if I can. Been slacking on that for a little bit, but been knocking.
We all have.
Been knocking. And then I journal and I just write out my thoughts. And for me, I write out exactly how I feel, whatever's going on. I have a specific notebook that I do for my journaling. Even when I don't want to, I'm like, oh, today I'm having a good day. Nope. That's when self-discipline comes in, because although you're having a good day today, you need to hold yourself accountable. And I write down all the good things, what I'm thankful for. I write down, I'm thankful for this. And I also try to write down 10 things that no one can take away from me, like my heart. No matter what's going on, nobody can take away my kind heart. Nobody can take away my ability to want to push myself. And you guys know how that goes. So those are some of the things that I do. And
I love that.
Yeah, definitely I try to write out things that are going to push me, and I'm open with myself, and anything that I'm thinking that's putting a burden on my heart, or I feel like an elephant's on my chest, I write it out. I let the tears flow if they need to. I get mad, I go alone for a little bit, and if I need to get upset, and honestly, to be honest, like even punch a pillow, I do. I'm serious, I do, because if you're not expressing your emotions, you're going to end up, isolating yourself from yourself. You're going to end up pushing yourself away from your loved ones, from your friends. And not only that, you're not going to be able to lead anybody else, because you can't even take care of yourself if you don't realize what's going on.
That's like a big thing for me. Like, if you cannot take care of yourself, like, you're not going to be able to take care of those around you. And so I love some of the tips that you have left, and some of the things that you have done to be able to overcome them. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely want to leave with 3 simple things that has helped me to be able to overcome, and things that you guys are going to be able to do on a regular basis. One, you only want to focus on what's in front of you. Just only focus on the things that you can't control. You can't control your leaders. You can't control the people who recruited you. You can't control your company, but you can control your thoughts. You can control, well, maybe not your thoughts. You can control the way that you react. You can control,
I love that.
You can control the way that you respond. And for me, one of the things that I do, and I still do it now, if I am anxious, if I am in a situation that I am stressed, I will quickly remove myself. Like, all the negativity and everything like that, like, I believe in not having my energy being spilt onto someone else. And so when I'm anxious, or I'm feeling like stressed, or my heart is beating, I leave. Whether I just pretend that I need to get up and go to the bathroom, or whether I pretend that I'm on a call, I know what's triggering for me, and I will get up and remove myself for a little bit of time and then come back. 2, journal. I love that you said that you write out all of your feelings and all of your thoughts. I think that some of us take that lightly. I became like a journalist. I'm not like a professional, but I started writing down all my thoughts for like the past 2 years. And sometimes it's just on my note sections, like in between doors, like I'll have like these random thoughts. Yeah, me too. And I'll just like sit down and I'll just like write them down, like how I feel. And I will read them and I will look at it and I'm like, ugh. Like, what? Those are the things that you're feeling like why?
They help so much, 'cause it's like, somebody listen to me.
Yeah. So whether you need to write down in your note section, or whether you're writing it down on your iPad in between doors, or whether you're at home and writing it down in your journal, take the time to feel your feelings. Take the time to write them out. Take the time to read them. It's going to help you. You're going to be able to identify the triggers. You're going to be able to identify the situations that you don't need to put yourself into, or ways to overcome those situations. Because I want more of you women coming out into the industry and not using anxiety or mental space as a crutch to remove yourself from the industry. But again, if you need help aside from that, definitely seek some professional help. And then my third one was going to be remove yourself, but I had included that in the first one. So again, for those of you women who are just feeling a little bit anxious about this job, about whatever industry that you're going into, or whether you're knocking right now, take the time to recognize your triggers, take the time to write out your feelings, and take the time, if you need to just remove yourself for a little bit and figure out what it is that you need to do to be able to get back on track. Those of you women who are struggling, we see you, we love you, we feel you.
Absolutely.
And we're rooting for you. I don't care what shirt or what industry that I'm in today, tomorrow, or in the next 10 years, I'm going to be rooting for you. And I hope this week is a better one.
Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.